What's good, everybody? It's your boy Batman, and we have another reaction video coming along for some Naruto vibes, and it's going to be Kakashi versus Guy, the title The Real Winner. It's going to be a video being produced and done by Six, so we're going to basically be reacting to it. And I have my hopes that this video is going to be pretty solid and pretty good, but at the same time, I'm a little bit worried because whenever it comes to Guy, I don't know what it is, but I've seen kind of like a trend where people like real like not people, but for some reason like Six and even Swag Kage, to where they kind of dog shit on him. You know what I mean? So which is really weird because the guy has insane feats. Um, so I'm curious to see what happens. I'm curious to see the route that he goes. I know he's more likely going to be using probably a lot of statements and stuff like that as well, and I hope they're not dumb statements either, because one thing that he has been doing that has also been like very freaking weird um is, and this is just something that I've basically what it really was is like it was getting to the point where like he was either like making like it feels like he's starting to just make like dishonest videos for ad revenue for some reason, or like he just can't scale anymore. Like he kind of just chooses and picks when he wants to, like, and he's either inconsistent or he's consistent with it, like, and then the statements that he chooses to like revere, like obviously only to fucking hype like the next issue for sales. So like, you know what I mean? Like it's clearly like a hyperbole statement, like, for like the next issue and everything. And almost every statement he showed was basically like the end of issue hypes that most manga and comics use. So it's literally just like to the point where it's like, dude, like if you're gonna use a statement or use something, make sure it's backed up with consistent showings or something that it's actually makes sense and like it's backed up with support and evidence. You know what I mean? Like you can't just show any fucking statement you want and then just give off your interpretation on that and just, oh, there you go, that's it. You know what I mean? Like it don't work like that. Um, and so like freaking overall, like I don't know, that's kind of where I've been kind of feeling with us Six lately, which doesn't do that for all the videos. There's a lot of videos that he has that are fucking incredible. One of my favorite ones to this day was the scaling for the Sonic that he did, the legendary Sonic. So like I don't know. So I have my hopes. I hope this is gonna be a good video, but we're gonna get into it. We're gonna watch and we're gonna see what happens and go from there.
About Sasuke after seeing Guy perform a body flicker prior to the Chunin exams preliminaries and claiming he's actually faster than Kakashi, or
Yep.
Guy himself who seems to take the rivalry way more serious than Kakashi.
And that's base to base.
Side note, Sasuke hasn't actually seen Kakashi move at full speed by this point, so it's not too important of a statement for Guy. But according to
Bruh. Come on. See, that's already a red flag. What you mean that's not a good statement for Guy? You can't just say that doesn't matter. Like what?
Guy, when it comes to him and Kakashi, his matches, he's currently up one in the wins department. Although this doesn't really have any meaning since we know that some of the matches that they take part in are like
Or just silly or games or dumb. It's not like them actually fighting.
rock paper scissors matches and things like that. But I'm going to be going over most of the forms of Guy versus Kakashi here, at least the ones we see specifically on screen, starting with part one. I'll bring
Okay, cool. I like that.
data book statements in as need be by the specific part, as each data book has its own cutoff for what part of the manga the information contained in it pertains to. For example, data book 1 only covers up to chapter 119, so anything mentioned within the book is likely only pertaining to those chapters and the information mentioned at that point in the manga, which actually leads into the way this video will be structured, which will essentially be 4 different points: Kakashi vs. Guy up to chapter 119, then up to chapter 244, then up to chapter 402, and then up to chapter 691. The episode equivalent to all these arcs and when they take place will be mentioned in the video in the corresponding section, but all of these chapters are exactly where the data books go up to in chronological order. And I think going over the series this way is a lot more consistent, as it essentially marks the different places Kishimoto split up his manga. As is known, Kishimoto authored every single data book. That being said, obviously the more current data book would supersede the last one, data book 4 correcting a lot of the things in data book 3 and so on and so forth down the line. Considering Kishimoto couldn't really reveal everything in the first 3 data books as it wasn't revealed yet in the manga or anime yet, I'll try to include some information from the anime as well, and not only use manga canon material, since a lot of you have likely only seen the anime, and if I do manga only, I'd kind of be warping your perception of the show, which I don't think is all too fair. If you like this kind of video, be sure to subscribe and like.
That's fair, and that's pretty cool. See, and I feel like this is kind of like a problem with a lot of people nowadays too. It's like everyone completely forgets about the anime. And the craziest thing is, the anime not only replicates the same exact shit in the manga, because I literally have been going through part one and been doing streams and posting that to my YouTube channel, and it's literally the same fucking shit. And it's very rare when there's like tiny little differences. Okay, very rare, not even common at all. Like maybe two or three things that I've seen throughout the whole, all the way from the beginning to, you know, the Konoha Crush arc, okay? And it's just that, it's all the same shit, the same thing. And instead, with the anime, you just get more detail, you get more, you know, information out of it, and you get more evidence, you know, visual evidence to really see how the characters really are, instead of just looking at like a page of, you know, writing and drawing, you know what I mean? So like, you can only get so much from that. So like the anime is really a good source to go off to do scaling, etc., and you name it. At least for Naruto. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just either because they're just lazy, or they don't want to put enough time and research and homework into it, and they just completely disregard the anime and they just only focus on the manga, and that's it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just weird. But anyways, that is, I do like at least that he did say he didn't, you know, go over all of it, but you know, he did say he kind of went through it briefly, I guess, you know.
The video, as it helps the channel out a lot, and I'd really appreciate it. But let's start with Kakashi vs. Guy up to chapter 119, or episode 70 in the original anime. As far as this point in the story goes, this is likely going to come down to who is the overall better combatant or ninja between the two of them, since we have statements from the first data book that directly puts them on a similar level, if not equal. The character files of data book 1 say about Guy: he overpowers the enemy with terrific strength and speed. You can catch a glimpse of his ability, which is comparable to
Hey, that movie's so hype, I can't wait for that.
Both definitions of ability by Oxford Languages are either possession of the means or skill to do something, or talent, skill, or proficiency in a particular area. Considering Guy is a fighter who only kicks and punches, his ability being comparable to Kakashi's should mean they are around the same speed and strength. The Konoha 100 Leaves section of the data book 1 questions if Guy and Kakashi are eternal rivals, and says it's thought that their true strengths are said to be extremely close to one another. We also get the data book calling into question the validity.
Or mind you, that's just base to base though. You know what I mean? That's not including the gates. So if you compare Kakashi base to base, and then even if you give Kakashi the Sharingan and while he uses Raikuri, if Guy goes into the gates, he's a completely different fucking monster. You guys got to remember, Rock Lee using the gates was making Kakashi kind of shit his pants and like, you know what I mean, being overwhelmed by the sheer power and pressure itself. You know what I mean? Like, the gates are no fucking joke. So you could kind of apply this towards like maybe base to base, but you know, if you really want to be petty, at least for Guy's sake, that one statement that where Sasuke literally states like, oh wow, he's even fucking faster than Kakashi, like that's a big deal. Sasuke has literally seen Kakashi get serious in a fight against Zabuza and towards the bridge, you know what I mean, like, and all that shit. Yet he's over here saying this guy's faster than Kakashi. You know what I mean? Like, that's a big deal. You know, so you can't really be dismissive of that. So, like, even while they're in base to base, Guy is still faster, technically. You know what I mean? Then you give him the fucking gates. It's like, you know, like, come on. But, you know, so yeah, towards that, I guess, establishment, sure. But basically what Six is doing is he's probably just applying this overall, like, even if Guy was using the gates, that they're still the same and all that, and that is blatantly not fucking true if that's what he's implying. He hasn't specified that yet, but I hope that's not the case.
Guy's statement that he is up one on Kakashi, implying he may have lied to Team 7 when he told them that. Kakashi's portrayal in part 1 is a big point of contention, not specifically for this topic, but about his character in general. I know I've heard Swag mention in the past that he thinks Kakashi's portrayal is supposed to be that of an average Jonin. Me personally, I think it's better supported that Kakashi is supposed to be portrayed as the best of the Jonin and overall best ninja. I think I've got a good grasp on this now, but before continuing, I just want to say I don't know if Swag still holds that opinion. He was just the first example that came to mind. But in Kakashi's character file in the first fan book written by Kishimoto, we get a set of interesting statements that I think make this debate go a bit in Kakashi's favor. In the data book, it's mentioned that Kakashi is Konoha's #1 master of techniques, Konoha's strongest ninja, and that his Raikiri can cut through anything. Then in the fan book, we learn that he is indeed Konoha's top Jonin. This, along with Kakashi possessing the Sharingan and working out the weakness of stamina drain, at least from back in his fight with Zabuza, which, yes, you can argue he did from this early on. Kakashi fought the entire way through Konoha Crush with his Sharingan on and was not bedridden or hospitalized afterwards, as we see him attending Hiruzen's funeral, and we know he was using his Sharingan for bare minimum an hour, since that's how long the Hiruzen and Orochimaru fight took. So as we have it right now, Kakashi has the superior ninjutsu, can adapt to Gai's taijutsu due to the Sharingan, and is stated and implied numerous times to be the best ninja the Leaf has to offer. So for this round, I'm going to give it to Kakashi.
Yeah, so here's the problem with that. So, like, for one, Sasuke literally confirms and says it. For two, yes, that data book statement, like, that's out there, but you gotta remember, this is like what he's also forgetting as well. You know, especially that one data book statement that he read that, like, throughout the entire village of Konoha, that is a bunch of bullshit. Because if you put into consideration the legendary Sannin or Hiruzen, you know what I mean? Like, are you really gonna say Kakashi is stronger than all of them too? And so, you know what I mean? Like, come on, that's so fucking ridiculous. Like, overall, in comparison, like with talent and skill and being like literally a genius, sure, yes, definitely out of all Jonin, correct. But then when you compare it in comparison, like with actual taijutsu, and then on top of it with Guy having the gates as well, there is absolutely no goddamn way you could still apply that same logic. It's the same fucking scenario with Hiruzen and the legendary Sannin. We saw Orochimaru go, Kakashi was just shit in his pants. Hiruzen, come on now, he would not, you know what I mean, he would lose to him. Itachi, completely dog washed, you know what I mean? And another thing that a lot of people also really tend to forget as well is Guy actually, especially in the anime and the manga, has way more impressive showings as well with his speed. Sasuke talking about it during the Konoha Crush arc, where the man is literally punching people through walls and fucking moving so fast it's like ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like he's doing crazy fucking shit. Like literally when Kakashi moved fast to save Sakura, it was a cool moment, right? He saved her, whatever. Guy does the same feat, and the guy is literally like, wow, so fast. You know what I mean? And like, you know, like Jesus Christ. And he's like, yeah, not just fast. And then fucking slams him through the wall and everything. You know what I mean? Like, clearly just having better physical feats overall, okay? Also, probably not even implying that he's probably wearing the fucking, literally the traditional weights as well. So there's that too, if you want to put that into consideration. I don't know if that's 100% confirmed, so, but I'm just saying that's probably a possibility because he did it with Lee, you know? And then on top of it, give, you know, Guy the gates. Kakashi ain't doing nothing to Guy, bro. I'm telling you. Like, and then another thing, if you even look at the point where Itachi pulls up, Itachi bodies Asuma, Kuna, and Kakashi. The guy comes up, kicks Kasame away, like kind of speed blitzes to where like Kasame couldn't even react or anything, just gets hit and pushed away. And then Itachi looks over, and then Kasame's like roasting his shit, and then Itachi finally gets serious, has a serious glance and everything, looking at Guy, and he's like, "Do not underestimate him, or you'll regret it with him." You know what I mean? Like clearly, like literally stating like, "Be careful with that guy." He didn't get like that with Kakashi. He got like that with Guy. Okay, kind of giving even more narrative implication that Guy is a big fucking deal. He's no joking. He's very strong. Itachi, out of all characters, arguably probably the strongest person during part one, okay, is literally reacting that way, you know? So, come on, bro. And then not only that, Guy even had a moment where he was able to fucking run up and kick Jiraiya in the fucking face. You know, like, so I'm just saying, bro, like, Guy is very fucking strong. You know what I mean? So, like, in Kakashi, he's very, very strong. And literally my favorite character, I want you guys to hear this too. My favorite fucking character as well, out of all Naruto characters, Kakashi is literally my favorite. And I'm telling you right now, Kakashi is strong with the Sharingan, Raikiri, you name it, and talent, a genius, ninjutsu, you name it, okay? The guy is very fucking fast, stronger, okay, and we've seen it before. Even if you do have the fucking Sharingan, if you're not as fast as your opponent or relative or whatever, you're kind of gonna get dogged on. Okay, so if Guy is actually faster, especially base to base, even if Kakashi has a Sharingan, because even though he uses a Sharingan, doesn't mean that's increasing his speed. That he just has a fucking Sharingan, okay? So base to base, and it's already confirmed by Sasuke that he's literally faster, okay? Kakashi's gonna be having problems. Then give Guy and stack the gates. Kakashi is not winning that shit in part one. I'm telling you that right now. Like, Guy fucking would stomp, okay? Like, it's so absolutely ridiculous. So that, hell no. Definitely disagree. That's just fucking stupid. And then not only that, the guy, he didn't even go over Guy's data book statements. He didn't even go, like, say anything with that. He just kept talking about Kakashi. You know what I mean? Where's all the shit about Guy? You know, like, like, keep wanking or jerking him off even more while you're at it. You know what I mean? And remind you, Kakashi's literally my favorite fucking character. You know? So, like, come on now. That's ridiculous. Absolutely not. Like, deadass, if I hear one more thing that is, like, ridiculous, especially from 6 out of all people, I'm going to message the guy myself and be like, hey, your Kakashi versus Guy video was absolute dog water, okay? Like, shut up. Stop. You get paid to do Naruto. Do better, you know? Jesus.
Kakashi. As far as the battle goes for this next part of part 1, that being from chapter 120 to chapter 238, or episode 71 to episode 135 or 142, I want to bring up a fairly interesting discussion that's not ever really talked about, and that's Guy's lack of use of the
One
gates
sec,
in
guys.
part 1. Going through the whole part 1, all 238 chapters, I could not find a single example of Guy even opening the first gate. Or episode 71 to episode 135 or 142, I want to bring up a fairly interesting discussion that's not ever really talked about, and that's Guy's lack of use of the gates in part 1. Going through the whole part 1, all 238 chapters, I could not find a single example of Guy even opening the first gate. And there also, going through the data books, is only one implication that he can even do it in the first place, saying that Lee inherited the technique from him. Although it is a data book 1 statement, I wanted to bring it up in this section because it's the closing section to part 1. Regardless, I'm sure it's just as weird to everyone else as it is to me.
At your post.
Or was to me that Might Guy never opened the gate in part 1. I wouldn't.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, and that doesn't imply that he doesn't know the gates. That'd be absolutely fucking retarded. If that's the direction he's going, then 6 really needs to stop. Okay, like, like at that point, hashtag noodles, dead ass. Okay, like fucking he does know the gates, and you could argue he could go up to the fucking 6th or 7th gate. It doesn't make any sense why he wouldn't be able to. If you don't want to say, oh, he can't use the 7th gate, you could definitely say he could at least use the 6th gate. Rock Lee could go up to 5 fucking gates. You know what I mean? Like, you're really gonna tell me Guy can't do 6th or 7th gate at that time? Come on now. While he's way older and everything, and literally taught him those techniques, trained him the same fucking, you know what I mean? Shit. Like, that's really fucking weird and dumb. You know, really weird. So, and Guy never had a reason to go into the gates. That's the issue. He never had a reason. Konoha Crush, he fought a bunch of fucking elite ninja, you know, and that's it, and just was washing all of them up. Same thing with Kakashi. He didn't have to fight against a big bad like a Orochimaru or a Sanjonin or anything like that. He didn't have to fight anyone that would actually require him to have to use the fucking gates. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that simple. Same thing with Kakashi. If he doesn't take you seriously enough, he will not use the Sharingan if he does not need to. Because obviously with the Sharingan, then he can use his technique, the Raikiri or Shidori. Okay, so overall, like, it's just that simple. The only time he more than likely would have went into the gates was when Kasame and Itachi pulled up, and he would have gone that route, but Itachi said, fuck this, let's run away. Okay, we don't got time for this shit anymore. And they dipped, and they left. Okay, and then same thing, Guy would have more than likely went the gates as well against Orochimaru's henchmen, okay, and against a crippled, no chakra stamina Orochimaru, and you know what I mean? Because he was literally like, hey, we need to go after them. Like, it's not, like, it's very out of character for me to just let people run away or get away. And Kakashi's like, no, don't do that. They could be traps or whatever, blah, blah. It's too risky. Just, like, you know, calm yourself. It's not worth it. You know what I mean? And that was it. So, overall, he really never had any reason or justification to go that serious. No one ever pushed him that far. Which, if anything, that's more of a positive standing and stance. It's not a bad thing for Guy. And not only that, they didn't really want to take away from, they were really trying to shine the light on Rock Lee to clearly demonstrate how powerful you can still get even with just taijutsu alone, okay? And Guy's literally the fucking reflection of Lee, just older and more powerful and faster. So yeah, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure he could do the gates.
I don't even blame some of you if you didn't believe me and went to go check for yourself, but let's get back into the versus battle. At this point in the manga...
But he's not lying though. Guy never did the gates. He never did it. Ever.
To imply that Guy and Kakashi are still relative, and the only thing we really have to go off of is the data book stat charts. I know these have a lot of bad rep in the fandom for the outlandish,
which is why it's really dumb to just kind of use them in the first place, and that the same fucking logic and it applies for also statements. You know what I mean? It's like you got to be really, really careful with what statements you're using, because once again, if it's not backed up or supported, there's no fucking point.
conclusions you could draw.
If you're just using a statement just for you to formulate an argument, that doesn't help you. You have to have something to back it up and prove that incentive of what you're trying to imply or what interpretation you're utilizing with that statement. You know what I mean? And if it's an end of the issue hyperbole fucking statement, get that shit out of here. If it's a statement that's completely bull, get that shit out of here. You know what I mean? Like, and people do that all the fucking time, and it's just so ratty, and it's just very like dishonest. You know what I mean? It's annoying.
Them, but allow me to offer the way I think these are most reliably interpreted. This is actually told to us in Data Book 3. It tells us these graphs are actually shinobi progression charts. So you can actually track how they've grown throughout different points in the series. This is a concept dropped in Data Book 4, but I believe what's being told to us here is that these stats are individualistic and based on how strong this specific shinobi could get, or how smart whatever the stat says. These stats seemingly only increase in increments of 0.5, meaning the data book only documents increases of 10 through 19% of a specific stat. Using this method of interpretation to gauge Kakashi and Guy's growth, we see that Kakashi has improved his speed, intelligence, and taijutsu by at least 10%, and Guy was already at his physical peak and just trained to keep it up. I'm sure from this you could easily draw which conclusion I'm going to have at this point in the video, but there is actually an interesting part of the discussion when Guy confronts Itachi. It's already established at this point Kakashi is stronger than Guy via the progression charts, but Guy still might be able to pull out a W since he knows his own counter Sharingan techniques that can be looked at as either a physical...
That too, very important. I'm actually really surprised he mentioned that, because if you actually go back and everything, he also has mastered and countered Sharingan battle techniques from all my bouts against Kakashi. You know what I mean? So that's also not an issue for Guy either. You know what I mean?
buff or hindrance since he's fighting someone stronger than him. But Guy does say he's already developed a knack for determining his opponents via the movement of their feet. And since he's developed these techniques for Kakashi, I think it's fairly disingenuous to say this would hinder him in this specific battle. It's also not like Kakashi got massively faster or stronger either. His strength stayed the same and he only got like 10 to 19% faster. And it's also stated that even Itachi retreats in front of Guy's combat skill in the...
Yep. Told you. Pick of Guy in water. Combat with Itachi's bodily movement is way above that of Lee. This is one where the fruits of effort. Even Itachi retreats in front of Guy's combat skills. Don't read into this too deeply. There are just implications that Guy is stronger than Itachi. There's maybe in Taijutsu, but just maybe pick of Itachi, Kasame. Itachi, don't underestimate him. Correct. Which that's what I brought up beforehand. That I was getting very annoyed that he wasn't bringing that up, you know?
Take at complete face value, you just know Guy would absolutely dick on Kakashi the same way Itachi did. Or you could go with a more honest interpretation that Itachi is just extremely tired post using Tsukuyomi, which is actually stated later on in the series, and use the fact that a Kakashi over Guy link has already been established to further support this interpretation. Outside of that, I'd like to say the fight could...
No, that's not true either. Even though Itachi utilized Tsukuyomi as well, that wasn't enough to kind of put him out of commission to where he couldn't fight anymore. Like, the guy only had to use fucking Amaterasu, and then eventually... it was Tsukuyomi and then Amaterasu. But yeah, he did Tsukuyomi once, and that's not the end of the world. The guy literally has used Tsukuyomi many times beforehand, and he was perfectly fine. He did it on thousands of fucking bees and on two Anbu elites, not on two, on the bug ninja guy from Danzo's root Anbu. Like, you know what I mean? Did Tsukuyomi on him and all his bugs. Like, that's not a fucking issue. You know what I mean? Like, Itachi can fucking spam Tsukiyomi as much as the goddamn he wants. He did that shit crazy amount during the Uchiha massacre with all that shit going on. You name it. Like, so I don't want to fucking hear that shit. So even though he used it, the only reason why Itachi didn't want to continue doing the fight, okay, is for one, he's an agent and literally a spy. He's not trying to fucking have a whole war with Konoha. He literally went there, and this is literally stated in Shippuden and everything, to check on his little brother Sasuke to make sure he was safe. Okay, that was it. He wasn't trying to kill everybody or fight or cause problems. You know what I mean? And that was it. And he utilized Tsukiyomi to just kind of get Kakashi out of the way. This way he didn't have to deal with him, because he knew if it just came to, boiling down without using Tsukiyomi, that he would have to kill him, and he doesn't want to have to kill Kakashi. So he just did Tsukiyomi because that was the best way to incapacitate him. And when Guy showed up, Itachi got serious and was actually a little worried and feeling a little pressed from Guy, because he's not dumb either. Itachi's a fucking goat. He's very intelligent. And even he knows that if this motherfucker went into the gates, there's going to be a problem. You know what I mean? So, overall, like it is what it is. It's simply as to the point where all that's really doing as an implication is a narrative implication, and even more of a feat as proof as well, especially from being stated from Itachi out of all people, that that Guy is no joke and very fucking strong. It's that simple. Guy is literally over Kakashi in part 1 no matter what. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. It's so stupid. Like, it's so, like, just dumb. Like, it's not even an argument. Like, please show me one feat that Kakashi has done that even replicates a gate feat that Rock Lee did. You know what I mean? Like, or the destructive capacity of using the gates. Imagine that shit. Not with Lee, but with Guy. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, it's so dumb. And it's literally stated that he's faster than Kakashi. And he has Sharingan anti-tactics, and all that to deal with that at ease. Like, it's that simple. The guy was not afraid to throw down with fucking Itachi out of all people. Like, enough, And then with the Kasame, and we know how much of a beast he is, too. So, it's just so dumb.
Go either way, especially considering how they are both stated or shown to be above Kisame, and neither one of them completely ragdolled him, just got the upper hand on him in some way. But if I'm being completely honest, this is still kind of in Kakashi's favor, and he probably still takes the W again. There is around 8 chapters after the end of part 1 that are dedicated to Kakashi's backstory, where he gains his Sharingan and becomes the
Make sure you're in love with
the hero.
So far, in a horrible video.
This part is placed differently somewhere in the Shippuden anime, but it's not all too relevant to the fight at hand, and it's just something I thought I'd mention because the next part of the video is going to be covering chapter 245 to chapter 402, or what most people would call early Shippuden. Similar to the last part of the video, the progression chart for Guy did not increase, but the same is also true for Kakashi at this time. We do know of a few progressions Kakashi has made that weren't listed, or should I say could not be listed in the progression charts as they are not directly stats, like his acquiring of Kamui or some sorts. Kakashi has improved his Raikiri limit from before, where he can now do 6 Raikiri without being at a chakra against Kakuzu, while also performing other jutsu and taking part in taijutsu exchanges with Kakuzu, at least in the anime, where they seem around relative with each other in terms of speed and overall combat. This type of thing is fairly consistent for Kakashi. He's always able to somewhat combat the main bad guy of the arc, even Pain to a small degree. And we know that Kakashi, similar to Naruto, would have eventually killed Kakuzu with his Kamui because he mentions it to Naruto when they're speaking. At Ichiraku Ramen right after the fight. Kakashi claims that if Naruto and Yamato didn't show up when they did, he was about to use Kamui and kill Kakuzu, and implies he didn't before because he thought it would hospitalize him, which makes sense. Because at that point, Kakashi had used up 4 Raikiri and said that he should take it easy because of that. Speaking of Kamui, something that needs to be mentioned is that Guy, after looking at Kakashi Kamui away Datara's fake unalive bomb, mentions that Kakashi is a worthy rival. Kakashi also looks at Guy after he did it like, yeah, look what I just did, before he falls back and almost passes out. You could pass this off as Guy feeding his own ego or just to keep up appearances, and to be fair, just prior to his comment, he has a visible expression of shock or amazement at what Kakashi just did. Similar to the last section of this video, there's a statement about Kakashi's place among the other Konoha ninja, and this one also says he is Konoha's #1 ninja. However, at this specific point in the series, I think it's fair to say, since Guy has access to the gates, and due to other statements, that Guy may be able to contend or even beat Kakashi. Also, this statement about Kakashi being #1 is a lot less conclusive than the other ones, because the others sort of just imply and say he's the strongest, but this one saying he's #1 ninja is kind of vague and could be saying a number of things, while all probably not mutually exclusive.
And the same applies to the previous statements that he was using for part 1. Literally, that's exactly what I was stating beforehand.
So, the statement probably doesn't have multiple meanings, as language kind of doesn't work that way, and normally when people say words, they mean a specific meaning or have a specific meaning in mind. This could mean Kakashi has completed the most missions, which is true via looking at the character profiles. It literally tells us how many missions they completed. It could mean Kakashi possesses the most jutsu. It could very well be that Kakashi is stronger and faster than Guy, or it could be literally every single one of these. Also, are we led to believe Kakashi is stronger than Tsunade because of this statement? I, for one, don't think Kakashi at this point is Sannin level, but you could probably argue the Hokage is excluded from this specific statement. This will become a lot more relevant in the next section of this video, but Kakashi being on Guy's level in the 6th gate with his Raikiri is confirmed in the war arc. And I will say this part of the video is probably the most contentious part, as I really do think the fight could go literally either way. Any arguments for Kakashi?
So, basically what I'll say from there, at least towards in Shippuden and everything, so if Kakashi with the Sharingan with Raikiri, so the Raikiri does increase your speed, if you guys don't know that as well. It does amp your speed and everything, it makes you fast. But I'm going to tell you something right now, and this is kind of similar to something else I'm going to bring up as well. All because Kakashi is shown next to Guy using his Raikiri, and Guy using the 5th gate. Actually, technically, it was either the 5th or 6th gate, because I don't even think there was actually a statement to confirm he did the 6th gate. Okay? The only time we actually know for a fact he's using the 6th gate is when he's doing the fire punch move. And then whenever he deals into the 7th gate, it's a blue aurora. That's obvious, and he uses Hirodora. So for all we know, he could be using the 5th or 6th. Just putting that out there. But anyways, what's it called? When it comes to Guy, though, like, all because he's right next to him and they're kind of both doing their thing, doesn't mean Kakashi is Gates' level of power and speed. That doesn't mean anything. That's literally the same exact argument that fucking Noodles was using against Swag Kage when they were having their debate of Pain versus Kakasu. That because the Edo Ninja were in formation, military formation, and right by each other's side and moving at the same speed, that they were basically the same level of speed, and you name it. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't prove anything. Okay? And if we're literally actually going to be boiling down to visual evidence, if you really want to go that route as well, Guy then has better feats overall. Pushing away oceans of water, causing fucking explosions, creating fire just from how fast he's punching, creating fire, all this other crazy shit. Please show me when Kakashi has shown any levels of feats to that degree in level and power. It is never fucking shown. Okay? So, overall, Guy goes into the gates in Shippuden, Kakashi is fucked. Now, what I will say is if Kakashi uses the Migekyo Sharingan on Guy, Guy is fucked. There's nothing he's going to be able to do. So really, the main argument that you really have for Kakashi is what is faster, Guy's gate activation and movement to kill him, or Kakashi's Kamui to kill him. You know what I mean? What do you think? If they're both bloodthirsted, you know what I mean? Guy would obviously immediately go to the gates. Kakashi would immediately use Kamui. What is faster? And at that point, you know what I mean? I could say it can go either way to just be fair in a sense, because I would have to do a little bit more homework and research to really confirm that conclusion of who would be able to perform faster, whether Guy activating his gates and moving or Kakashi using Kamui, because I'm going to be real with you, Kakashi has insane Kamui activation feats. So, you know, But overall, if I really had to pick one for now, I would say Kakashi. And Kakashi would win mainly due to Kamui. Kamui is just fucking broken. He looks at someone and they're Kamui. You know what I mean? Like, and the activation is instant, you know? So, that I will, like, you know, that's what I'll say for Shippuden Kakashi and why I feel like he has, a high rate of winning against Guy. You know what I mean? Because of Kamui. But once again, if you think Guy can activate his gates faster and move, then Kakashi's fucked. He's dead. He's not gonna be able to do anything, and he's getting speed blitz or one shot or whatever, and it's that fucking simple, you know. So overall, it's just that's it. Very very fucking simple. You know what I mean? Kakashi's never shown anything on the level of a seventh gate, never anything with eighth gate, and not even sixth gate. You know what I mean? Like it's just stupid. Okay, like really dumb. Like if anything, if you really want to compare and contrast, especially during when they were fighting against and helping Naruto and B against Obito, Kakashi does his Raikiri and cuts up V2 cloaks. Guy goes into the sixth gate and does his fire punch move and is literally beating a full-tailed beast transformation attack. You know, like if you really want to be fucking petty too, you know, like so overall, like it's just what I will say at the end of it. Guys in gates, he loses. It's that fucking simple. It's that's it. Visual evidence and feats, Guy has it in the bag. You literally cannot argue against it. You know, like, and if you're gonna use statements or try to do some narrative implication argument or whatever, that they're right or all this other shit, that's fine. But feats are there for a reason. There is literally visual fucking feats. Never has Kakashi shown that. You cannot prove that he is literally is Gates level of power and speed. It is never shown. And even the cherry on the top to really prove that argument as well of what I'm saying with the Gates in comparison with Kakashi, which is Sharingan and Raikiri, okay? You guys gotta remember, fucking, when he goes into the seventh gate and everything, Minato and Gaara are shitting their pants and, like, mind you, they've seen all kinds of people and they're like, Minato's like, oh my god, I can't believe he can do the gates and blah blah this and that, like he's absolutely insanely powerful. Gaara's like, is he even human? His movements are inhuman. And Gaara has seen all these fucking people. You know what I mean? Like, so like, you have that, you know? It just, you know, and then when he goes into 8th gate, it does a whole narrative comparison of Kakashi and Guy, and basically Kakashi's dad saying, don't underestimate him because he will be stronger than you. And Kakashi literally states it to himself. He's like, wow, you really were right, Dad. He is stronger than me. You know what I mean? And this is War Arc Kakashi. You know, the second or third strongest form we've ever seen so far. Then you have, you know, Susanoo 6th Pass Kakashi. And then you have Boruto Kakashi. Okay? And it's like, come on, bro. You know what I mean? Like, Kakashi's even admitting it. His father fucking called that shit out, and his father is a fucking prodigy genius, was a goat, okay? Stronger than all the legendary 3 Sonin combined, alright? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? You know, it's just, it's so dumb. There's narrative implications of it, visual feats in comparison as well. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so ignorant and so stupid. It's so dumb. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand, you know? So, that's all I'll basically say with that. And that's kind of it. You know, does Kakashi more than likely win 9 times out of 10, especially during in Shippuden? Yes, because I do feel him lifting his headband and comboing could be more faster than Guy activating the gates and then making his move. You know what I mean? But if you think Guy could activate his gates faster, then it's over. That's it. It's as simple as fucking that. You know what I mean? There's no Kakashi could be able to keep up or fight against 6th gate Guy or all this other shit. You would never be able to fucking prove that, bro. Ever. Like, better yet, there's even a fucking arc where Rock Lee and Guy go into the 5th gate, not even the 6th gate, go into 5th gate and are literally given the hands and bodying Four Tails Naruto, V2 Naruto. Just washing his ass up and launching him across a fucking whole city, just with taijutsu attacks. Show me when Kakashi has ever replicated a feat on that level. Nah, instead he needs the Raikiri, a ninjutsu attack, in order to input actual damage to a V2 cloak fucking tail beast. You know, and overall to increase his speed. You know, like, it's like at that point it's like, what's the fucking point of gates? You know what I mean? Like, are you really kidding right now? You know, like it's so fucking stupid. You know, like gates are very powerful for a reason. They were in there for a reason. It separates Guy and Lee from everybody else. And anytime they use the gates, they get a W. It just sets them on a whole completely different level. It's literally a transformation of power itself. Something that Kakashi does not have. Yes, he can train to get faster and stronger, etc., whatever. But the strongest he can ever get is when he has Raikuri. That makes his speed and everything more faster, and he's, and it's a deadly ninjutsu attack. But it's never been shown to do Gates level of fucking feats. So I'm done ranting and blabbering on that. But overall, that's just blatantly just fucking dumb. Which you put in, I have no problems of people saying Kakashi wins because it mainly due to Kamui and you name it. But in comparison, if they actually went at it and Guys and Gates, Guy is shitting on Kakashi. It's so fucking disgenerous, dishonest, and ratty and stupid.
She using Kamui to get rid of Guy are also null and void before anyone brings that up in the comic section. Kakashi does not use Kamui that way unless he absolutely has to, and it's only on completely still targets like exploding Datara or Kakuzu while he's charging his attack. Or I know he does use it on Datara while he's moving in the air.
Yeah, that's not true. I'm about to say like 6. What the fuck are you on about? He can do it on people that are moving. He did that in the war arc. He did that literally in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have to stand still for him to use Kamui. Like... So thank you for him saying that, but like, okay.
Yeah, but Datara is literally moving in just a straight line, so I don't think that's...
Okay, and he's moving. You know how fast Datara moves? He's fucking moving. Doesn't matter. He could still use it on anyone that's moving or anything. He did it on Sasuke's Susanoo arrow, all the fucking war Kamui, and all that shit. Like, while he's moving and Obito is moving at the same time, movement is not an issue. What the fuck? Like, yo, deadass, when 6 releases another video, this motherfucker better not release a video this ass on this level, because holy shit. Like, you get paid to do Naruto, bro. You need to do better than this. Like, what the fuck?
Comparison. Moving into the final section of the video, chapter 403 to chapter 691. This section of the video was going to cover...
And mind you, I don't hate the guy or anything. I love the guy. I'm literally subscribed to the fucking guy. You know what I mean? But I'm going to keep it a buck. If I see something that's trash, a video, or here's some nonsense, you best believe I'm going to say something. I don't give a fuck who you are. You know what I mean? Like that's it's more of disappointment. Not of me hating or wanting to cause problems or fucking beef or whatever. It's more of disappointment right now. It's like, bro, like, you literally get paid to do this shit. You know what I mean? And I know damn well this motherfucker don't got a full-time job, probably sits in his ass, does whatever, you name it, okay, and makes fucking videos and for Naruto and you name it, and lives off that, okay? And gets donations and money from his fucking community and fan base, Like, guy has all the time in the world, literally primarily with Naruto. There's no excuse,
4 covers in the manga, which is from the Pain arc all the way up until the end of the war arc and Kaguya's defeat. This does not include any Naruto versus Sasuke fight, but that's completely irrelevant to this battle anyway. As far as the Pain arc goes, it likely doesn't change much from the previous section of the video. Kakashi hasn't evolved as a fighter at all, there was no time skip or anything, and he's still very hesitant to use Kamui, as shown in his fight and encounter with Pain, since it still drains him heavily. Although he does display a lot of skill with controlling the portal size, being able to Kamui a nail and a moving missile with extremely low chakra. He also shows enough quote-unquote trickery to Pain to the point that Pain didn't even want to get near him at the end of the fight just to be safe, which you could say implies he feared for his well-being, but you could also interpret that as Pain not wanting to use more chakra on possibly multiple Shinra Tenseis or Bansho Tenin on Kakashi. The topic is a bit more interesting during the war arc, as this arc, Kakashi is a lot more willing to use his Mangekyo Sharingan,
yeah,
and it doesn't seem to drain him as much. And we also get to see Guy cut loose with the gates a few times, which is always really nice to see. Plus, this is like the end of the story, well, up until Boruto, of course, but this is where we get a wrap up to most of the sub narratives going on throughout the show. and the most important one to this video at least is the Kakashi versus Guy narrative. Just throughout this video, I've documented every instance in which Kakashi and Guy were seen as rivals to one another, and it dates all the way back to the second arc in the show. To see it all in here is fairly beautiful.
Oh, and another thing too, guys, all because you're rivals doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you're equal to each other. It means that you two are basically two characters that are constantly competing against one another and that can constantly surpass one another. It is clearly shown with Naruto and Sasuke. You know what I mean? Then you have fucking Rock Lee and Edgy. You know what I mean? Then you have fucking, there's so many examples. You know what I mean? Like, Naruto and Sasuke is the perfect example. Constant back and forth. One was up in the other. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same shit with, with Kakashi and Guy, but unfortunately it's actually a little bit more one-sided. You know what I mean? To where it was one-sided in the beginning when they're kids. But then as they get older, especially in part 1, it's more in favor with Guy. And then when you get to Shippuden, it can go either way, you know what I mean? Or mainly more in favor with Kakashi because it's just broken ass Kamui, okay? And then, then you have the war arc and everything too, same fucking shit, whatever. It can go either way. I still feel like it'd be more in favor with Kakashi due to Kamui. Kamui's just insanely fast and crazy, okay? But overall, like, if you're just comparing, like, speed and power, and without Kakashi using his hacks ability, he loses no matter what. From part 1 to early Shippuden, middle Shippuden, war arc, that's it. Simple. The only time Kakashi actually surpasses Guy in power, and I'm going to state this as a now, and I don't know if he's going to get to this point or not, is when Kakashi gets his 6 paths perfect Susanoo. At that point, he is more powerful than Guy even in 8th Gates. And yes, I said that. It's fucking true. There's no way, like, it's fucking dumb. I'm not even going to get into that. But Kakashi would absolutely wash up anything Guy did with Gates while in that form. 6 paths, perfect Susanoo, broken ass hacks and abilities, powered self speed, blitzing Kaguya, you name it. Like, I don't want to fucking hear it, okay? So, that is the only time. Better than that, in comparison with power and speed, Guy all day, every day. Is that fucking simple, So, overall, that's it. We'll continue.
It sort of ends 2 different times with 2 different conclusions that would make both sides of the party very happy. The first ending is when Guy is beginning to use the Night Guy on Madara. Kakashi has a flashback where he and his father Sakumo meet a young version of Guy, and his father might die. Kakashi is being his normal, kind of annoying self, scoffing at Guy for failing the entrance exam, to which Guy just replies to Kakashi saying thank you for your support. And Sakumo tells Kakashi that at the rate Guy is training, he's going to become stronger than Kakashi, and that he would be a great rival for Kakashi, so he should take his name and remember it.
Yep.
Then we cut back to the present
Which
where
he
Kakashi
did.
says it ended up just as his dad predicted, and he says Guy's name just like his dad told him to remember, as we see the dragon forming around Guy for the Night Guy attack. I like this for a number of reasons. The first being it sort of implies Kakashi's dad has the same level of analytical ability, or even greater than Kakashi.
Yep,
which is
definitely greater. Definitely greater. More smarter. He surpassed the 3 legendary Sonic, all of them, remind you. Minato literally stated that. Okay, like, the man was insanely powerful and intelligent. Crazy.
Highlighted for Kakashi in the first data book. He can sort of see people's potential. Sakumo was able to predict 30 years earlier that Guy's method of training would lead him to surpass Kakashi at some point. This also just sort of implies to me that Guy is inferior to Kakashi at the point prior to this, which makes it sort of pointless to go over Kakashi versus Guy with gates 1 through 7. As the narrative plot point is being brought up here rather than earlier, we know this is when Kakashi was surpassed and not at the points prior.
No, that I would absolutely disagree with. Once again, completely dumb and stupid. This would just clearly make it as an implication to imply that even with the other gates, Guy has always surpassed Kakashi and was always more powerful than him. You know what I mean? It's just that fucking simple. He trained harder, he worked harder, and he has the fucking gates, okay? Which literally amp your power and everything. Like, there's statements for it of how much it does, you name it. Like, it's that fucking simple. So it doesn't take for Guy to have to go to the 8th gate in order to surpass Kakashi. That's blatantly not fucking true. Okay? And what I mean by surpassing Kakashi, I mean by, like, in order to beat him. Okay? This is that fucking simple. When we get to the conclusion of the video, I'll finally give my final stance on who basically wins. You know what I mean? Just very short and brief. You know what I mean? And if I have to even do my own fucking video and literally show everything just to be like, hey, like, you know, come on, guys, you know what I mean? Like, then so fucking be it. But you know, but yeah, I'll do that towards the end. Let's kind of finish this video out, and hopefully I don't have to shoot myself.
The second conclusion to this narrative comes during the Kaguya fight, and I'm sure a lot of you know where I'm going with this and what I'm talking about. Obviously, DMS Kakashi. This one is actually great, even though a lot of people didn't like it some time ago due to it not being properly explained and kind of coming out of nowhere, but allow me to break it down in an extremely simple way. Kamui is a time space, but for the sake of not confusing too much, I'll refer to these different time spaces as dimensions. Kamui is a dimension that Obito can connect through his MS ability. I cannot stress this enough. No, that is not what Kamui is. Kamui is the ability to connect two different dimensions, and what is commonly known as the Kamui dimension is just what fans call it to make conversation more simple. Both Kakashi and Obito just call it our time space, or the data book calls it the other dimension. We see Obito use Kamui to connect Kaguya's dimensions to one another to locate Sasuke. So now that that has been explained, part 2 is that Obito used Kamui to connect one dimension to another. That being the Pure Land where his chakra was currently and where it last was, right beside Kakashi in the pile of ash. Earlier in the fight, we find out Obito can mark different dimensions with his Sharingan or chakra in chapter 685. So Obito Kamui's from the afterlife into the actual world so he can give Kakashi his Mangekyo Sharingan. Any further explanation on this would kind of just be banter, so I'll just leave that there. Anyway, Kakashi getting help from Obito is a nice contrast to how Obito was earlier, where he was sort of doing everything on his own, just like he was led to believe is correct.
All right, we don't need no lore explanations in it. Come on, what's the point of all this?
We get that speech from Kakashi that someone who has a heart full of comrades is truly strong, as the whole Konoha 11 stands against Obito. It's just kind of cool. Kakashi at this point is obviously much more powerful than Guy. Not only is he passively intangible, he can attack while intangible as seen when he charges his Kamui Raikiri. He also has hacks. His giant Susanoo, he has the ability to summon these giant Kamui Shuriken. He has tons of things at his disposal that kind of make it easy to fight Guy, and even especially in the 8th gate, with Guy being a ticking time bomb kind of thing. Like, imagine Guy went to kick Madara with the Night Guy, and instead of the kick landing, he just went directly through Madara and Guy hit the God Tree itself. Obviously, Guy would just die and Kakashi is gonna live.
Yep.
I don't want to cover any weird Boruto era content. A lot of that stuff is far too controversial for me to want to get into right now, so I'm just gonna leave it off here. If you
well, with the Boruto, all right, we'll do this. Guess what? I've never done this before. Deadass. It wasn't a horrible video, but I was very disappointed. Okay, let's put it that way. Dislike. Okay, fuck that shit. All right, and this is where I'll basically kind of get at with this. All right, so if to just summarize it for the Boruto, Kakashi has it all fucking day, every day. We don't even know if Guy can go into the gates, and even if it could, Guy is literally a crippled, handicapped fucking dude in that time and state. Like, he can't fucking do anything. You know what I mean? While Kakashi can continue to train, can get stronger, has purple lightning and all this other shit, you name it. So Kakashi just wins that all day, every day. All right. So to kind of recap, okay. So for part 1, okay, just the entirety of part 1 overall. I'm not even gonna do the 2 points that he was doing. I'm not doing that. It's stupid. Okay. Fucking Kakashi and Guy. Who wins? Guy. He's faster than Kakashi in base, okay? Meaning, like, if Kakashi just has his Sharingan out, he's literally faster. Now, if Kakashi does his Raikiri or whatever, at that point, you know what I mean, you could argue, you know what I mean, Kakashi is either the same speed as him or now faster. That's fine. That's not a big deal. But with the Sharingan, who the fuck cares? You know what I mean? Guy is it's literally stated by Sasuke that he's faster. It's that fucking simple, okay? And then if Guy goes into the gates, Kakashi's losing. And Kakashi doesn't have Kamui. The only thing he has is like substitution, you know, or like shadow clones and stuff like that. And yeah, that can be able to kind of help him and kind of deal with Guy, you name it. But Guy's not an idiot. He has Sharingan anti-tactics to deal with Kakashi's Sharingan. He's not going to pull a fucking Ali moment and go all out and do his final KO move while not even knowing if it's a fucking clone or not. Okay, like Guy's not an idiot. Like he's an idiot, but he's smart when it comes to combat strategy at least. Okay, and overall, there's no visual evidence for Kakashi to show anything that's on the same level of the gates that Guy has done, or even Kid Rock Lee. If I'm gonna be really go that far, okay, like overall he gets fucked. Okay, if you actually look back towards the gates and analyze the statements and everything, you name it, the gates give you massive fucking amps in power and speed, massive. Okay, and it's literally even stated by Kakashi that like if even like while you go towards the 8th gate, it gives you literally the power to surpass Okage, or better yet, even surpass 6th pass level of fucking power Madara out of all fucking people. Okay? So, overall, the gates are no goddamn joke. We've seen what the 7th gate can do. We've seen what the 6th gate can do. You know what I mean? Even the 5th gate from Rock Lee, okay? It's no fucking joke. Gates are very, very fucking strong, okay? Or better yet, we've seen, technically, if I go back, I believe it was I think Lee went into the 4th gate, and then he made his move, and we saw how crazy powerful that was. Imagine that with Guy. You know what I mean? Like, just imagine. Okay, he'd be a monster. Okay, so overall, like, it's to the point where Guy would go into the gates, Kakashi loses. Guy can deal with his Sharingan, go into the gates, that would give him the edge in power and speed. He dies. Done. Simple. And Kakashi has horrible fucking stamina and chakra. And when it comes to even using the Sharingan in part 1 as well. You know, it's that fucking simple. Then you have Shippuden. This is where it can get interesting. So for Kakashi, he obviously has Kamui and all that too. When they're in base to base, there's no issue whatsoever of just implying that they're more than likely in the same degree and level, okay, of, you know, and speed and everything. You could maybe argue for Guy to be more stronger with his you know, attacks, like physically in base to base. But, you know, speed-wise, they more likely have it. They'll probably both be able to react to each other, be relative, you name it, or whatever. You know, or better yet, technically, I think even in Shippuden, and it's probably in the manga as well, they even did a race to see who could get to, you know, point A the fastest. And they both, like, it looked like they both tied, but Kakashi barely won. Barely. So it's really implied that they basically have the same speed in base to base, you know? So you can kind of just go that route or whatever. And then with, you know, if Kakashi uses the Sharingan with the Raikiri, obviously he could be faster. So Guy would just use the gates, you know what I mean? And if Guy uses the gates and anything like that, Kakashi's fucked. He's getting dog watered. But this is why I think Kakashi could still win, and that wouldn't even be a factor, and why that would be irrelevant. Because, as we all know, Kakashi has Kamui, and his Kamui activation jutsu is insane, absolutely insane. And not only that, which Six brought up a really good point as well, with the Datara thing, that kind of really, really surprised Guy, and he was like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like, wow, there's my rival for you, you know what I mean? And you name it, kind of giving him props, and like you never cease to amaze me, you know, like goddamn you, you know. And overall, that was that. And mind you, meaning you could apply that Guy has no idea that Kakashi has a technique like that, like fucking Kamui, you know what I mean? So, like, if they're both bloodthirsty and Kakashi immediately, you know what I mean, like, takes out his Kamui, you know, Guy's kind of fucked, you know, like, he's going to get Kamui'd. So you would have to have an argument, like, what would be faster, Kakashi's Kamui activation or Guy's Gates activation? And who could maybe land the first move? I strongly do agree that it would be Kakashi, which is why he would win 9 times out of 10, like, every fucking time because of Kamui. Now, if it's in character fight, they're going to go at it, fight base to base, whatever. Kakashi would then do, like, maybe a Raikiri, you know, whatever, to increase his speed and deal with Guy, and maybe do, like, you know, not a lethal blow, but whatever. And then, like, Guy he's fighting, goes into the gates, you know, whatever. And then, you know, if Guy goes further, like, to 5th, you know, or I would even say 4th. I'm sorry, even the 4th gate. But let's say he goes to 5th, especially the 6th, Kakashi's getting fucked. You know what I mean? That's it. If he goes into the 7th gate, I don't want to hear fucking shit. You know what I mean? Like, Kakashi is literally fucked. You know what I mean? So, like, and basically, like, if it's like an in-character fight and they're going at it or whatever, and Guy goes to the gates, you know, or especially the 7th gate, the reason why I feel like Kakashi's going to lose is because Guy is already going to be in the gates, and before Kakashi can activate his Kamui, Guy's already moving. He can't even use Kamui to see him or anything, and he's dead. You know, and that's it. So if it's more of an in-character fight, you know, where basically Kakashi won't really use Kamui unless he really has to, that's when I feel like Guy would take it, because in Gates, he's just on a whole other level of power and speed, and he just basically bodies him. You know what I mean? And Kakashi has to be able to see what he's comboing. You know, that's the fucking problem. So overall, he would lose. But if it's a bloodthirsty battle, Kakashi. Now, if it gets to the point where, you know, let's say Guy goes into the 8th gate, you know what I mean, or whatever, and it's Kakashi, you know, whatever, like, Kakashi's fucking losing. He's done. That's it. Simple. You know what I mean? Unless Kakashi is able to combo him faster than he can do to activate the 8th gate, that's fine. He wins, once again. Bloodthirsty. But if it's in character, and especially if Guy goes into the 8th gate, he's fucking dead. And I don't really consider that a win, though, because even though, obviously, Kakashi would lose, Guy would die anyways, too, so it's kind of like a tie. You know what I mean? So if anything, that's just that. But if you take both characters at their strongest form, Six Paths, Perfect Susanoo Kakashi versus 8th Gate Guy, Kakashi's fucking washing his ass up, because at that point, that's when he has crazy level of power. Okay? And it's really that simple. That's it. Very simple. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even need to have to show all the fucking statements or the narrative or the feats or you name it. It's just that fucking simple. It's not rocket science. You know what I mean? Like, and if I had to make a video, for God's sake, then so fucking be it, and I'll fucking show you name it. But, like, that's it. So, overall, we're gonna conclude this video. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments below. Does fucking Kakashi just absolutely wash up Guy in part 1 no matter what? You know what I mean? Even though I think that's absolutely ridiculous and bullshit. I definitely do think a Guy has that in the bag at the very least, from everything we've seen, statements and showings, you name it. And especially what we got from, even just from Rock Lee alone. Then when it gets, to Shippuden, let me know what you think with that. When it gets to their strongest 2 forms, let me know what you think with that. Even though, that should be a no-brainer, but whatever. But overall, let me know down in the comments. Subscribe for more content, guys. Subscribe if you guys love the channel. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. And another thing, just to kind of, before I even let this go, I have no shade against Six. I have no problems. I have no beef, no nada, whatever. But at the end of the day, a lot of disappointment. Obviously, he ain't going to give 2 fucks. I don't give 2 fucks what he thinks. But from where I'm standing, as for my reaction to the video, very, very dog shit video, which is why I fucking disliked it. I don't give a fuck. And this is that simple. So if anyone that's, out there to start the cloud or the beef or whatever, or yada yada and all this other shit, because it's the same shit with Noodles' fan base, you name it. If you have an expectation or goal to start bringing drama or getting some people from Six, or even Six of all to whatever, I don't give a flying fuck. I will literally just ignore it, and I won't even fucking respond to it. I don't care about this shit. I'm not here for Days of Our Lives opera or drama or anything like that. I'm just going to say what it is. Now, if it's on a professional level of topic to where it's just like, as, like, nah, you're capping, like, I'm right, blah, blah, narcissist, and that's fine. But if it's anything with side drama or just insults or this or that or whatever, anything stupid that's just dumb, I'm not doing that. I'm not here for that, okay? That's fucking child games. So, just putting that out there for a quick disclosure to all you people, or for any of the people that may see this as a Six fan or whatever the case may be. That's basically it, whatever. But one thing I will do for you guys, for shits and giggles, the title will be very amusing for you as well. So definitely clickbaitable. So you guys have a good one. Peace.